Pinball is one of the earliest forms of gaming entertainment, a mix between video and physical. It heavily inspired the development of early video games, and given their popularity at the time, it's not surprising that when the NES came out, that we would see some pinball games released for it. I'm more of a casual fan. If I see a table, I'll go play it or at least check it out, but it wasn't until the NES that I was actually introduced to pinball. The difference between real pinball tables and the NES games was that in the case of the NES, you weren't just looking for the high score. As a matter of fact, high scores weren't even saved. Instead, each game had its own objective, and throughout this video, I'll try and show what each objective is for every game. Our first game is Pinball, released in 1984 by Nintendo themselves. It's one of their black box action series games. It features a two-screen table with a pretty simple layout of the standard bumpers, point gates, and switches. The top half has two paths you can take. Right path starts a slot machine where you can stop each section by hitting the pink wall moving left and right. The left path is a lot more fun. If you shoot the ball this way, it makes the seals in the center juggle a ball on their nose while you rack up the points. This hole in the bottom right is exit only and does nothing if you hit it. The lower half of the table features several gates at the top which reveal playing cards in a royal flush. There are also 3 eggs in the center you can hatch into chicks. Hatching all 3 chicks gives you left and right stoppers. Hitting all 7 numbers on the left side of the table opens up an exit on the right side where you can relaunch your ball to the top half of the table. The objective of this table is to get your ball into the top right hole on the bottom half of the table where you're taken to a new screen with Mario and Pauline. You want to bounce this ball into the numbers to remove the platforms Pauline is standing on to free her. You catch her when she falls down and move her to the left or right side exits to complete the objective. Pinball isn't bad for the first of its kind on the NES, but it does have some flaws. The ball physics are very floaty and it slows down the action when you just want the ball to drop so you can continue. B mode fixes this and seems to add more weight to the ball and makes it move a little bit quicker. I definitely prefer this one to mode A. Also, the gap between the flippers is pretty wide, making it easy to lose multiple lives quickly. Getting to the objective hole is pretty tough, and sometimes you can get it right away, other times it'll take you over 20 minutes before you get a chance to rescue Pauline. Having said that, pinball is good fun and I do like making those seals dance. Also, it's available on the Nintendo Switch Online service for those who want to check it out. Next up, we have our first of 2 games modeled after real-life tables. Released in 1988 from Rare, yes, that Rare, is Pinbot. Pinbot is a single-screen table that keeps the flippers in the frame as the ball scrolls up. It's a fairly small table with an open playing field. On the left side of the table is a solar ramp, and just right of that is a ball catcher. There are also targets to hit to help you progress through the solar system to eventually end up at the sun. At the top of the table in the center is Pinbot. Pinbot will keep his visor down until you light up all the squares in the grid directly below him. You do this by hitting the row of switches above and to the right of the grid. Once you accomplish this, Pinbot will talk to you and lower his visor. Once his visor is down, you can shoot a ball into each of his eye sockets to allow him to see. Completing this objective gives you a 2-ball multi-ball. Afterwards, hitting a ball into one of his eye sockets will hold that ball. With 1 ball in place, send up another ball to the solar ramp to complete the main objective. I really love Pinbot, and I don't know what everybody's talking about. The game isn't clear and you can't tell what's going on. It's not obvious what everything is supposed to be. I mean, look, if you put the NES game next to the real table, I can't tell them apart. Okay, in all seriousness, my biggest issue with this game is it's kind of a mess to look at. Converting a real-life pinball table to the limitations of the NES was probably no easy task. it's a little difficult to understand what's going on and what I'm looking at. Near the beginning of the recording of this game, it actually glitched out and I didn't even notice right away. Also, the way the game keeps the flippers on screen the whole time kind of throws me off, and I can't get my timing right when I know the ball is coming down. Besides that, the game is solid with decent ball physics. Even though the digitized voice is pretty rough, it sends me bouts of nostalgia every time I hear it. And this game is easy. I kept getting extra ball after extra ball and it seemed like my game was taking forever and would never end. I moved from planet to planet, at least I think that's what it was doing, and I didn't have many issues until I progressed a few times where a ball-eating monster would appear. Or a starfighter would shoot missiles or straight up steal my ball away, causing my eventual game over. What? Second place. Next up comes Rollerball, released in 1988 by HAL Laboratories, most famous for the Kirby and Smash Bros. Series. Rollerball is a massive 4-screen table which goes well with this skyscraper thing. There are bumpers, switches, gates, you name it, they're all here. There are even certain spots that will shoot your ball around the table when rolled over. You start on the 3rd screen, where there's an alcove to the top left with a HAL bumper and a hole that will allow you to shoot again. There's a roulette in the top center and an opening into the 4th screen just below it. The slot machine path is easy enough to hit and I found myself hitting it a few times in a row every time the ball would come down. The 4th screen entrance, however, is not as easy to hit just the right way to get your ball not only up to the 4th screen, but to do it without hitting the flippers above. The 2nd screen down has a few switch areas and a lone bumper. There's also a spare flipper to the top left to help hit the switches in front of it. To the left of the flipper is a path which will take you back to the 3rd screen if the arrow is pointing up. There's a scoreboard to the right that increases in value when you hit all 3 switches of the lit up area. The bottom screen has a bit more going on with a few gates, a central bumper, and a path in the top left. The central bumper is nice and helps push the ball back up to the 2nd screen on occasion. Shooting the ball through the gate cycles through some bonuses, but I couldn't figure out how to activate them. There's a hole in the top right in front of another flipper that I couldn't manage to hit. Lighting up the ABC gates moves the left door at the bottom to close off the ball exit. The elusive 4th screen is very open with 4 switches to the top left and top right. Hitting all 4 on the left gives you a stopper. Hitting all 4 on the right releases a 2nd ball from the bottom right hold. The objective of this table seems to be lighting up all the letters in sky high, then hitting your ball to the hole at the very top of the screen. Once you've done this, a bunch of bumpers appear on the screen, which you have to break by hitting them over and over. But once you've done that, you're prompted to hit the ball in the top hole again. But I just missed this. The second mode is match play, and it's a 2-player versus mode. I'm not 100% sure what the objective is, I just know if you allow too many balls to drop between your flippers, you lose. There's a bar at the top that changes when you hit certain objects on the screen, and you also lower your score. So I think the first player to have their score drop to 0 is the loser. This was a pretty cool table, but also one of the most frustrating. Getting to the 4th screen happened way too rarely, and when I did manage to get up there, it was difficult to get anything done. It was heartbreaking to make it so far only to never make it back up there again. Because the table was so big, I couldn't hit everything I wanted to, but that also means there's a lot to this table to keep you interested. The ball physics in this one were really well done, and I felt like I had a lot of control over where I was hitting the ball. The graphics were very bright and it was easy to discern what everything was. A big contrast to Pinball. Here we have Rockin' Ball, released in 1989 by NTV International Corporation. Now this game I have a lot of experience with. I used to rent it all the time over the weekend when I was younger. And for the longest time I couldn't remember the name of the game, but I finally found it. Rockin' Ball has 4 options from the main menu. The first is a regular pinball table. Before you get started, you get to choose a character. This is a 2-screen table with a smooth transition between the top and bottom halves. The top half has bumpers, a path in the top left, and a hole in the bottom left that adds a stopper. To the right, there are 3 switches and symbols that begin to rotate after hitting the first switch, and stops when hitting the third. Hit the picture one more time to activate it. The bottom half has a few gates in the center, a track in the top left, 2 switches to the right, and a hole on the left and right side, which adds stoppers to the left and right exit paths, respectively. There's also an open gate allowing you access back to the plunger. The objective of the table, at least as far as I can tell, involves this roulette of pictures at the top. Each picture does something different. For instance, the shoe makes a turtle appear to the left. When you hit this, it slows your ball down. The shades reverse your controls, and the others seem to just add points, or I didn't immediately see the effects. But the key! Hitting the key makes a ramp appear to the top left. Oh my god. A car crashes through and destroys the table. Then it takes you to another screen where a bunch of thug-looking guys stomp around. I think you're supposed to hit all the thugs, then hit the ball into the hole, but after several attempts, I wasn't able to get it done. Moving on to the next table, we have a casino theme going on with multiple options. All the options take you to the same table layout where you wager money. You fire your ball and try to bounce off the pins into the holes. You win your wager if you can fill certain holes with the ball, such as all 4 corners, or a straight line. The third set of tables are the versus tables. You have the choice of bomber, thunder, and attack. The tables are set up with each player on opposite ends, foosball style. Whoa, calm down there, Billy. The objective is to get the ball through your opponent's flippers to score 3 points and win the round. You can also score points by hitting switches to the side of the table for power-ups like turning the ball into a bomb, causing an exit tile to appear, or summoning a little widget to get in the way and cause interference. The last couple tables are soccer and ice hockey and play just like the versus tables. These are even more similar to foosball, with each player controlling a flipper and a goalie. The only difference between the 2 games is the position of the goal and bumpers. So lots of hip movement in this game. Rockin' Ball may be my all-time favorite NES pinball game. I really don't have any big complaints about it. The main table is easy to get to the objective and has great ball physics like Rollerball, but what really sells this game are all the game modes that are available. The 2-player tables are so much fun, and since there are so many, it doesn't get old. Even the casino table had me coming back, even though it's not really my thing. Only a couple of games left, and up next is one of the more popular games. Pinball Quest, released by Jaleco in 1990, caught a lot of attention for mixing pinball with a fantasy journey. I completely forgot that Pinball Quest had multiple tables and an RPG mode, so let's try to get through all these. Pop Pop is a 2-screen table with a United States of America theme. The mechanics are a little bit different here from the other games, when you have to manually move the flippers between the top and bottom screens by hitting up or down. The top half of the table features a few bumpers, gates, a hole at the top which brings you to the bottom hole, and a hole at the bottom that brings you to the top hole. There's a few bowling pins and a path to the left. Hitting all 3 bowling pins causes the ball to shoot to the left. The bottom half of the screen has more bowling pins and a line of scores in the upper right. The objective is to knock down all the pins on this screen until a hole appears in the middle. Your ball is sent to the mini pool table on the left, where you fire your ball into the other red balls to sink them without sinking yours first. If you manage this, your score moves up the scale on the left. The next table is Viva Golf. This is another 2-screen table with a golf theme and golf hazards. The top screen has a few bumpers and a few holes. You get 1 lone flipper on this screen. On the bottom half you have a water hazard to the right, which will swallow your ball and have it launched to the left. If you hit the hole to the right, you are given 3 stoppers. If the ball hits the center stopper, it winks at you. There are 4 holes in the middle with moles popping their heads out. The objective of this table is to hit all 4 moles, then hit the ball into the hole with the flag at the top. The king mole praises you, and you continue on. The third table is Circus, and once again is a 2-screen table. The top half has a couple bumpers and several seal gates. The bottom half has a few more bumpers and a roulette wheel to the right. If you hit the ball to the left path, it will be shot up to the top screen. The objective is to match 3 icons on the roulette wheel, then hit the ball to the path on the left to be taken to another screen. Here you are a clown and have to throw a ball to capture the circus animals. If you accidentally hit the circus lady, she kicks you off the screen and you start over back at the table. These 3 tables are short and sweet with simple layouts and easy to access objectives. I like them. Well, let's get to the meat of this game. RPG mode starts off with a cutscene. 3 monsters enter the royal chamber, knocking out the guards and steal the princess. They flatten the king and the hero chases after them. The first screen is a field with a couple tree bumpers and tombstones. If you hit the tombstones to the left, a ghost appears. The ghost explains he used to be a soldier and needs your help saving the princess. I don't want to help anymore. Destroying the rest of the tombstones and the wall to the left gets you access to the next area with 3 skeleton baddies and moving trees that remind me of Hydlide. Destroy all the skeletons and they merge into the king skeleton. Kill the king skeleton and he drops a key letting you into the castle. From here you actually get to move around on your own and can choose to go straight ahead or to the right. To the right is a demon merchant that will sell you flippers and stoppers. You can also try to steal from them. And you get crippled to the point you now walk with a cane. The next screen is a fight with a wizard and their cats. The bottom half has a couple bumpers and a hole to the left that moves you to the right and back up to the top screen. Apparently, the wizard can fire beams at your flippers that kill you automatically. Every time you lose this fight, you are taken back to the very start of the first screen and have to work your way back up. Luckily, the key is still there and you don't have to fight the Skeleton King again. There's also this little guy here who shakes every now and then, and when you hit it, makes the right bumper explode. And that was as far as I can make it in RPG mode. The good thing is you have infinite continue, so you can keep going over and over. But the weird flipper mechanic and the difficult stage layouts made this one a little more frustrating than it had to be. Overall, I like this one. The graphics weren't as colorful or cartoony as the other games, but not as grimy as Pinball. Pretty good ball physics and an assortment of tables make this a good one. And finally, here's the second game based on a real-life table. Released in 1991, also developed by Rare, we have High Speed. Unlike Pinball, I haven't played the actual table. I haven't even heard of this one. Just like Pinball, we have the same digitized voices, scrolling flippers, and lifelike graphics. Whoops! To its credit, the table is a little more clear than Pinball. I can tell those are supposed to be roads and stoplights. This looks like a car in the middle, maybe surrounded by an engine. At the top of the screen, you have a solo flipper on the right to help you into the freeway at the top. In the middle of the screen, Slime, that reminds me of the alkaline enemies from Chrono Trigger, appears that slows your ball down. If you hit it hard enough, you can destroy it. As you play, bags of money, boxes, and a helicopter appear that you can collect. Although I don't know what any of them do. You can store the boxes and helicopter, but I wasn't able to activate whatever I needed to use them. I mean, I think that's a chopper over there, but you got me. Now this game is nowhere as easy as Pinball, and I died a lot. I almost stopped altogether because I hadn't made any progress in like 20 minutes. But I'm glad I didn't because a lot happened after I kept going. On occasion, a tumbleweed appears, and if it catches your ball, it sends you to the exit. I started nudging the table when this happened, and it seems to free you, although I tried again and tilted the table. An egg will sometimes fall into your flipper and break, which then removes that flipper from the table. Bombs also come flying down. The objective here is to hit the traffic lights and shoot the ramps at the top to keep changing the traffic lights to red. Then shoot through again to run the red light and attract the attention of the cops.
Dispatch, this is 504. Suspect ran red light. Over. Roger, 504. Apprehended.
You then keep racing to evade the cops, and if you succeed, you activate multi-ball.
Dispatch, this is 504. He got away. Over. 504, this is dispatch. He won. He got away.
I was able to collect 3 boxes, which are apparently safes, and this happened. A safe rises from the ground, and when you enter, you're taken to another screen. You control a cannon and shoot your balls pachinko style, I assume into the 4 catchers. Alright, there's one and... oh, no! I tried a little bit more after that, but couldn't get anywhere. My complaints about this one are the same as Pinball. Grimy graphics, the weird flipper scrolling still threw me off a bit, but not bad. Eventually, I figured out what was going on. Oh, but the music for these 2 games. And with that, all 6 pinball games released on the NES. But we're not quite done. There's still one more pinball game that can be played on the NES. Released in 1988 in Japan only for the Famicom, we have Super Pinball, developed by Dream. But how to play this on the NES? With the handy dandy My Arcade Famicom adapter. Just slide your game into the slot and put it in the NES like any other game. There really isn't much to Super Pinball. I'm not sure what the mahjong tiles are for, but once you get into the 3-screen table, you're greeted with a car theme. You start on the 2nd screen and it's pretty open with a hole to the top left labeled 3 in and a chute to the right. Every time you hit the 3 in, the light changes color. Hit it again while it's red and it opens up the checkered flag area to the top screen. At least I assume so, since I never made it through there once. Hitting the path to the right has you collect whatever part was listed at the top. The bottom screen has a slot to the right and 3 switches to the left that spell car. If you manage to spell car, you get 2 stoppers on the left and right. There's a hole to the left to take you back to the 2nd screen. When you get a game over, you get a shot of a girl hanging out on the back of a car. I had a really hard time finding the objective on this one, but I got it. I think. I kept focusing on the 3 in to get me to the top screen, but apparently there's another way up there. On the bottom screen, you want to get the slots going and hit either 3 car icons or 3 wheel icons. When you do that, an arrow appears on the hole to the top left, and hitting that ramp takes you to the highway to the top screen. There's a bunch of stuff in the middle flashing around in what looks like 6 drivers to the top left and top right of the screen. You can hit them with your ball to blow them up, but unfortunately I was only able to hit about half, then lost. I never saw that screen again. So unlike the other pinball games in this video, this one is just bad. The ball physics are horrible. I can't explain it, but it's like the ball is magnetized to the table, or it's constantly spinning and the trajectory is all over the place. The flippers look all weird and the hit detection seems off. I felt like I was hitting the ball when I shouldn't have, and was missing the ball when I felt like I hit it. And this happens frequently. Getting into the 3 in seems like luck, and getting to the ramp above seems impossible. You're not missing anything skipping on this one. As Popeye the Sailor wisely said, "That's all I can stands, I can't stands no more." And that's it, every single pinball game released on the NES and Famicom. I really hope you enjoyed this video and some of these games caught your eye. Video pinball games are kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, so although the presentation is a bit archaic, there's still a lot of fun to be had here. And that's it for me. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.